construction for many years, residential and commercial both. For the past 8 years, since 2005, I've concentrated primarily on greenhouse construction, which is somewhat of a specialty trade. In all those years, I've hired one man that had any previous greenhouse experience. I'm going to assume that most of y'all are probably like me. You can't afford a multi-million-dollar structure. So we're just going to talk about some of the simple structures. Okay? The simplest greenhouse structure you can get is just a simple hoop structure. Looks something like this. Ground to ground. These structures are very simple to construct. They're fairly inexpensive to buy. You can get a simple structure like this, just a hoop structure, with one layer of thin poly to cover it, for about $2.70 a square foot. So if you were going to put up a structure, say 10 by 20, that would be 200 square feet. That would run you about $540. That's fairly inexpensive, and that's about the lowest you're going to get. One advantage to a structure like this, like I say, they're fairly inexpensive. They don't cost much to buy or put up. If you have just basic building skills, you can put one of these up yourself. They're really simple to do. These structures normally come on either a 4-foot or a 6-foot center. What that means is you have one hoop here. The distance from center to center of each one is going to be either 4 or 6 feet.
You can't see it.
You can't see it?
It's yellow.
Color.
It's yellow.
Oh, well, it's the only color I got. Y'all can't see that at all?
Yeah, barely.
No.
It's our arm.
Anyway, these structures, basically the way you put them up, you have a ground post that goes in the ground, and then this hoop goes into that. When you buy these structures from a greenhouse manufacturer, they will send you a post driver. If any of you have put up fence with T-posts, you use the post driver to drive the post in the ground. These structures are put up basically the same way. You'll get about a 3-foot post with a fitting that this hoop goes down in. You drive those down in the ground and put your hoops up, put your covering on. One of the critical things to putting these up is your centers. If you get off on your centers, then the end of your building's going to be on. The other critical thing is when you do your initial layout, you need to make sure that it's square. Otherwise, you're going to have a lopsided building, which is just going to be more problems. You can work with that, but it's just going to be harder in the long run for you to get a finished product. One disadvantage to this is if this point up here at the peak is 8 feet, and once you walk just a few feet off the center, you're going to be hitting your head on the structure. Or if you've got plants right over here against the wall, you're going to have to get down on your hands and knees to get to them. I don't mind crawling around looking for something valuable. Tomatoes ain't one of them. So how do you solve that? Well, you just add straight sidewalls. 4 feet, 6 feet, straight up. Then you put your hoop on top of that. That will add some to the cost, naturally.
With what, like cinder block?
Huh?
You use like cinder block or?
No. You can, when you buy these structures, you can order them with what they call sidewalls, straight sidewalls. They're usually 4 feet or 6 feet. You can go up 8 feet, even 10 feet. Where you you drive your post down in the ground, set your sidewalls on it, then set this hoop structure on top of that. That gives you more headroom. Okay? Yeah.
What I've done is similar. You drive your post in instead of your arc pipe going all the way down. I've got a 1-by across those pipes, so my arc pipe comes down about 2.5 above the head.
Yeah. I can say this solves the solution of headroom, but again, it will add some to the cost. Exactly how much, it's not going to be that much more just for a few straight sidewalks like that. You will have more cost in the poly to cover. And on the end, you're going to have more cost here where you have to put your entrance. These end walls, they can be covered with just soft poly, corrugated poly, 8 mil poly. Let me show you a sample of this. This is what's known as soft poly. You can get this at the big box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, or you can get it from greenhouse manufacturers. See how it blows in the wind? Very hard to put one of these structures up with its covering on in wind no greater than this. You get a big sheet of this stretched out and it's just like a huge flag. I used to do some greenhouses in Dallas, Fort Worth. They had a whole bunch of these hoop structures. Theirs were 14 feet under gutters. The sidewalls were 14 feet. You get up on, the higher you go up, the greater the wind is. Very difficult to do. And in Texas, we don't have very many calm days.
Great if you got wind.
What am I telling you? Let's set this down here. Maybe it'll work better. Okay, how do you put this on? Well, usually when you buy a greenhouse, it will come with the poly and also a way to attach it. One of the best things I know of is what they call wire lock. Just an aluminum channel. It will screw down along the base. Down along the base of the greenhouse, you will need to put a 2x4 down to attach this to it. Then on the end, this will screw right onto the frame all the way over. This stuff in long lengths you can bend. It will bend fairly easy and conform to that hoop. This wire, we call this wiggle wire. They call it wire lock. You can see you just kind of wiggle it back and forth and it comes out. Poly, you lay the poly across it, put the wire in.
Do you need another set of hands?
Almost.
Which is why you hire somebody to do this or help.
And it's very strong. This is one of the best systems I know of for attaching soft poly. They also make another one that they call poly lock. It's a channel similar to this, but instead of the wire, it has another aluminum piece that snaps down in there. I found it much more difficult to install because when you're doing this, you're grabbing this poly, holding it while you get this wire started in there. It's fairly easy to do with the wire. With the poly lock system that you have to snap in, and it comes in long lengths. So you've got to pretty much get it all started at one time. Much more difficult to do. This is actually cheaper too. This material, if you just buy the base and the lock, the wire, runs about $1.25 a linear foot. The other material, of course, with a big extruded piece of aluminum, is going to be probably twice that. And in my opinion, it doesn't work as well.
Is that work on any thickness?
Is it what?
Work on any thickness? 18?
Well, you can use any thickness of soft poly like this on this. You can even double it. You can even double layers.
What was it called again?
Huh?
What was it called again?
Wire lock.
Wire lock.
Huh? Uh-huh.
Do that, lay it down, put that on the ground, and then put it on?
This base has to be installed before you put your poly on. Yeah. And like I say, along the ground where you're going to put this, you need to run a 2x4 all across the outside of your frame. So you can screw this channel to that, pull your poly, lock it on. Okay, so now you've got one layer of poly on your hoop structure. How durable is it? Not very. High wind, you get just a small tear in this, and it'll be to pieces within a day. There are other types of material you can put on here that are stronger. They are much more expensive. You can use this same material and make it 2 to 3 times as strong by doubling it. You put one layer on, put another layer on, and then you use an inflation fan. I don't have a fan with me, I do have a mount. This will mount right on one of the round frames. You put your first layer on, pull your second layer, you trap the top layer in here. The bottom layer is underneath. It will air it up just like a balloon. With that air in there, airing it up tight, it gives you much greater wind resistance. The cost of doing that is not that much more. This poly is about $1 a square foot. These inflation fans with the mounts are about $75, $80. So you're going to have a structure that's 2 to 3 times as strong for the wind. Yes?
Would you be able to do that with just one single layer to help
No.
keep the pressure going?
No, you have to have 2 layers because you've got to have something to air up. Yeah, you have to have double layers.
What's the best thickness to use in the climate we got here?
Thickness of this?
10 mil, 14 mil?
This is 6 mil.
That's a 6 mil.
You can get 8 mil.
What is the strongest? What is the best to use?
The thickest mill you can get is going to be the strongest.
14?
I don't know that they make it in that thick.
See, Farmcrate's got a 14 mil.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. Normally, coverings that's put on greenhouses like this, especially if it's going to be double 2 layers, will be either 6 or 8 mil.
But the 14 cuts a lot of the UV out. How does that affect?
Cutting down the UV rays depends on what you're growing.
For your lettuce and your leafy products?
I am not a horticulture expert. I built greenhouses. So you're getting out of my league there. Okay, any more questions on this? Yes.
So that requires electricity then to keep the fan going? Is the fan
You do,
something
yeah,
that you
it's a
constantly
110
use?
fan.
You have to use it all the time, right?
Uh-huh.
You don't just use it when you're constructing it, you use it permanently.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a permanent
And so
structure.
you have to plug that in 24/7?
Right. Then the fan that goes on this is just a small 110 fan. It's about 60 CFM. Any more questions about this one? Okay. Other than this material, you can use material that's stronger. Corrugated poly. This is a little hard depending on how tight a hoop you've got. It may not work because of the ridges in it. If it's a fairly wide structure, it will bend and go around there. This material comes in sheets. The standard is about 50 inches wide. So when you lap it, you're covering 4 feet. You can get it in various lengths, 8, 12, 16, depending on how big a structure you've got.
Could you use PVC glue
Huh?
to glue them together?
No, sir. Actually, when you lap them right here, what you do is just drill a small hole and rivet them to hold that lap together. This is quite a bit stronger than the soft poly. You can also get this with UV protection. This piece is clear, but you can get it with some UV protection, which will reduce the light transmission that you get inside. Another type of covering you can use is this. This is 8mm twin wall poly. Just to break it down into something everybody understands, 8mm is just a little less than 1/4 of an inch. The ends of it, you can see, it's hollow tubes through here. This side has a blue tint to it. They call this opal. You can also get it in clear. You can also get it in one they call bronze. What this tint does, it's a UV protection. It also reduces the light transmission that you get in. Here in Texas, you're going to want that because of the extreme heat we have in the summer. These sheets come in standard 4-foot or 6-foot widths. You can get them in lengths up to 24 feet long. This stuff will bend over one of these hoops. I did a roof conversion in Hereford, Texas, where they had soft poly. We went in and added purlins, rafter bar, converted it to this. This material is quite expensive. It runs probably about $3.50, $4 a square foot by the time you get it crated and shipped to you. But it is very durable. If you go in the Lowe's stores, you'll see this is what they have on their roof, on their greenhouse. It comes with like a 10-year warranty from the manufacturer. Yes, sir.
You need to order that online, or can
You can Google greenhouse manufacturers and you will find hundreds of them. And most of them have complete greenhouse kits that you can order with any kind of material covering you want.
What's the flexibility of that material or to make it comfortable?
This way, it will bend.
Okay.
This way, running with the ridges, if you bend it that way, it creases and it's no good. It will bend this way. This is just a short piece. It will go over that hoop very easily. Yeah, that's what I say. There was some greenhouses in Hereford, Texas. They had the soft poly on there, and they had to replace it every year. And so I told them, I said, why don't you just convert it to hard poly? And so that's what we did. It will bend very easy.
And how do you attach it?
Tech screws and bonded washer. Huh?
Does the double layer help with insulation?
It does. The hollow tubes that you have in here is a dead air space, which is good insulation. Put it on. Use what's called a tech screw, self-drilling screw. We use about 1.1 inch bonded washer, rubber washer. Seals when you screw it on. Like I say, this is the very best covering you can get. It is also the most expensive. It's just the way life works, isn't it? Okay. Any more questions about the hoop structure?
Have you ever worked with Solex products? Solex products?
Solex?
Yeah. SOLEXX. I suppose they have like a really good rating, and they have I think like a 25-year warranty. And
Hard poly like that?
and they also sell like framing kits that are like aluminum and PVC at the same time that are supposedly have long warranties. And
You could, if you have basic building skills, you could build a hoop structure out of PVC pipe. And it won't be very strong.
no, this has aluminum inside the PVC, so the aluminum doesn't rust. Or I don't know. I was just reading about it online, but
Aluminum won't rust in the first place.
it won't. Okay.
Most of these structures are not aluminum. They're going to be about 1 inch, 1.1 inch round pipe that is galvanized steel.
How long does that last?
Many, many years. Galvanized steel is almost as good a rust inhibitor as aluminum.
What gauge would you use?
Huh?
What gauge?
Gauge? It varies. Lighter gauges you can get 16 gauge. Heavier gauges will be 10 gauge. And that's a personal preference. When you start looking at the cost of the thing, of course, the heavier gauge you go, the more expensive it is.
You know what the smallest size is that you can make?
Do what?
The smallest size you can order or make in
The smallest size? Probably about 6 by 8.
Okay.
Something I have found, though, about the really small greenhouses, for some reason, they're more expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why that is.
So you're probably better off just buying the bigger one and then cutting it down to size.
Something else about these structures, the hoop structures, they're built on 4 or 6 foot centers. If you want to start off with one that's, say, 12 feet, next year you want to add another 8 feet, you can just buy 2 more of the hoops and add to it. They're very easy to expand lengthwise. Now, the width of them, you're kind of set on what you start off with. But if you want to double or triple the length and you have the room to do that, that's very easy to do.
And as far as fans go, is there like for the Texas weather out here, I mean, how often do you have to have fans, depending on how long your greenhouse is?
How long what?
The greenhouse is? Do you need like a certain amount of fans, like windows and stuff, to let the air go through?
You
And
do need some ventilation in it, yeah.
is there a rule for the length of the greenhouse, or?
What you have to do is calculate how many cubic feet you have and determine how big of exhaust fan you need. Same thing with heat. If you're going to grow all through the winter, you can calculate how many cubic feet you have inside that structure. That will tell you how many BTU you need for a heater to heat that structure to a certain temperature. You can, on the end walls, mount exhaust fans, pull the heat out. Something else you can do to cut down on the heat, put on a shade. These shades, this one is one that probably come off a Lowe's or a Home Depot store. I do a lot of work for them. They come with a hemmed edge. They'll have grommets. You can put them over the structure. You can attach them with rope. You can use heavy zip ties, however you want to do it. You can order these shades in different percentages as to how much shade or light they cut down. I think they run like 40 to 80%. These shades are they run about 50 cents a square foot. So that's a fairly inexpensive way to reduce a lot of heat that you have. In the winter, you just pull them off and store them. Most of the shades you'll see, this is green. Most of them you see from the greenhouse manufacturers are black. And they're probably not quite as heavy a material as this is. There's a company in Denton that I've got some from. And this material, if you feel of it, has like a rubber coating. These shades will last several years. One of the things you need to do when you put them on is get them pull tight. Because the looser they are and the more the wind's catching them and moving them, that's going to start them ripping. Secure them on there good, they'll last several years. And they do a great job of reducing the heat that you have inside the greenhouse.
Better to put that over the top of the hoop or inside flat on the
On the hoop structures, normally they go on the outside on top. You can put them inside. If you have a hoop structure that has straight sidewalls with some headroom, then you're going to have a cord running all the way across there. You can attach them inside.
which is best.
On a hoop structure, I would put them on top, on the outside.
Outside. It doesn't affect the film.
It's just much easier to install that way. And if you put them inside, you're still going to have all that heat up in the top part of your structure. put them on the outside, then you're cooling the whole thing. Okay, one more thing I didn't show you on this. Is polycarbonate. This is how this stuff installs. This is a base. Screws down over your structure. Poly lays in there. You have a cap with a rubber gasket. Screws on there. Holds it very secure. These you have to space out depending on the width you order of your poly, either 4 feet or 6 feet. On this side, you would have another piece of poly. When you get to the end wall, you can just put a piece of flashing rod here coming down over it. So, on the hoop structures, one of the advantages is they're low cost. They're easy to install. If you have basic building skills, you can put one up yourself. Otherwise, hire me. Disadvantages, if you've just got a hoop structure, you've got low headroom. Side walls, that cures that.
What would you recommend on a 96-foot long, 30-foot ventilation, top, center, in a hoop? Where do you want to extract most of your heat that's going to build up?
Heat rises.
Yeah.
So you want to put your exhaust fans as close to the top as you can. You're going to pull out the most heat that way.
East side, west side, either side?
Normally your exhaust fans just go onto your end walls and pull them out both ends.
Both ends.
Yeah. Now you can get these structures with what they call roll-up sidewalls. You know, where say you got a 4-foot sidewall, you can roll that poly up and just open it up. There again, depending on what you're growing inside there and where you live, what problems you have with insects. I know I live in Denton County. We have a grasshopper infestation going on over there right now.
You too.
I planted a garden the last 2 years, and the chickens can barely keep up with the grasshoppers. So I'm thinking about putting up one of these structures at my house and setting up an aquaponics system. Okay, the other basic type of structure you have, I don't know, can y'all not see that at all?
I can see it.
Barely.
Barely? Now, the other basic type of structure is just an A-frame. It's basically just like a house. These are more expensive. They do have advantages. It's very easy to install the hard poly on these. Again, you can buy these from any of the greenhouse manufacturers and any, well, not any size. These are normally going to be a little bigger. Probably a minimum maybe 12 feet wide. Lengthwise, you can get them in all various lengths. I do these structures that are 42 feet wide by 180 feet long. You can also get them with gutters. You can get gutters on the hoop systems too. Really, the only reason you would do that is if you're going to connect two buildings together. That's a lot of the buildings I work on. That's what they are. It's called a gutter connect system. So if you have one building here, a gutter here, you don't have another post. You just add that frame to that gutter. You got a different marker? I don't know. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
Can you see the blue?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, okay, can never. Everybody see that now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That better? Okay. A-frame. Don't laugh at my artistic ability.
Now we know why you
I
picked
think I'm
yellow.
doing good if I draw my name. The A-frames, like I say, they are more expensive. They're usually made out of heavier gauge galvanized steel. You can install these several different ways. On a concrete pad like this, they'll come with a base plate that you drill and anchor the base plate to. You can, out in the dirt, dig you a hole, bury them, concrete them in. Same basic coverings go on these that go on the hoop structures. The soft poly, you don't see that much on these structures. You could do it. But they're usually either the corrugated poly or the 8mm twin poly that goes on. And you can get systems that are so complicated, you have to call somebody to tell you how to work. I built some greenhouses down at the State Fair a few years ago. They were computer controlled. They had weather stations that told the computer what temperature it was, what the wind was, what the humidity was, and it opened the vent, closed the shade, turned on a fan, and of course that's just like all the electronic gadgets in the car. When something goes wrong, it's just expensive to fix. The average person like me or I probably wouldn't want anything like that. I don't think I'd want it even if I could have.
What's the other advantage of the A-frame structure be that you could hang stuff from the roof?
You can. All these A-frame structures will come with trusses that are built something like this. You can run pipe all across the top of these, hang all kinds of plants. You can also do that if you have one like this on the hoop structure. You can run pipes through there, hang whatever you want to off of it. Home Depot uses a lot of these structures. When I go in to work on them, they've got 50 million plants hanging off of these things in my way. You do have to be careful in how much weight you hang on them. These A-frame structures, they will usually be engineered. In other words, they'll have an engineering stamp telling you that they'll withstand so many mile an hour wind, so much snow load, whatever. These hoop structures are not engineered. They are fairly strong, but you will not get any engineering with it. Okay. That's all I know. Y'all can go build you a greenhouse now.
Do you have any advice? We have a whole bunch of